because the stress level was so high. You in segregation, anxiety is so high. You in segregation, intensity is so high. You in segregation. So, welcome to another episode of Hard Lessons with Demel Hannah. I am your host, Demel Hannah. Today we're going to be talking about adjusting to new cellmates because you've joined the gang and you've caught cases and you've gone to prison. So hopefully you've taken advantage of your time there and learned your rights. If not, you're just gonna be another dumb prisoner.
You big cold-blooded dummy.
But adjusting to cellmates. I had so many cellmates I can't even recall. I had so many over 18 years, of incarceration. I had so many inmates I can't remember, but I remember the good ones. You know what I mean? And every state difference. In Illinois, they didn't used to bunk white and black. They didn't. Back in the 80s and 90s and 70s when and even early 2000s when there was a high intense just dislike that due to wars that has happened in prison, gang wars and culture wars, black and white just wasn't trying to bunk like that. If you seen a black and white in the cell with each other in the 80s and 90s, they was probably in the same organization. And Chicago and Illinois is different because you might have an exclusive black organization and an exclusive Latino organization, but they would be together in prison. They would be one because that's probably the origin of both of those organizations, probably founded on the same principles. And I'm not being, nationalistic, but the majority of white gangs, well, not the majority, every white gang or Latino gang that was produced in the 60s, 70s, and 80s was influenced by a black gang, black organization. That's just a fact, with the exception of probably one. And I'm not going to even say who that one is. But the majority of Latin and white gangs that originated from Chicago was influenced by a black organization. So back in the 80s and 90s, you would have, black and, Latino bunked, or black. You might see a white, but he probably associated with the black organization or the Latino organization. So, you would rarely see that back then, but you see it more now. It's more pervasive now because prison in Illinois, particularly, I can't speak of nowhere else. It isn't as violent as it used to be. It's more about punishment than freedom. They used to let us have a lot of freedom, and in that freedom, it was violence. Violence was rampant, But now there isn't any freedom. There's more punishment. There's more lockdowns. So violence isn't as rampant or pervasive, throughout the Illinois Department of Corruptions. But adjusting to different cellmates, I had white cellmates. I walk up in the cell, he got a damn swastika on his forehead. You know what I mean? Or you just know, I was a seasoned, convict. So I knew when I walked into certain cells, I just could get a vibe. You know what I mean? And, if you are Aryan or white supremacist or odinist or whatever, my only request is respect me. Don't get to hurling no racial epithets up in here. It's gonna get violent. You feel me? So I wouldn't care. Everybody got their own belief system in prison, man. Everybody got their own belief system, but You know, prison is an unsafe environment because you don't know truly what a person is locked up for until after, you know, investigations are had. You know, so if you get a cellmate or you go into a cell, you going in there blindly. You know, you don't know that person. You know, unless you've been locked up a long while and you just know a lot of people. You know, but if you go into there, you don't know that guy just last week tried to kill a cellie. He probably just tried to kill a cellmate or tried to rape a cellmate or has been extorting a cellmate. You don't know what type of predator you're going to be living with. So that's why you gotta always be on point and be less friendly, you know what I mean? You know, and less cordial. You know, in prison, it's the opposite way. You know, if someone speak to you in prison, depending on who it is, I would advise you not to speak back. Anything shows signs of weakness in prison. Hey, how you doing? Oh, what's up, man? Okay, he friendly. Okay, you know, guys are always plotting. You got to understand, you're in a place where it's just one gender, you know, with the exception of correction officers, teachers, and administrative personnel. You might see a female, but it's just one gender. You know, it's 1,000 men. Everybody is plotting. Everybody is plotting, and everybody is trying their best to be distinguished from the rest. So, you know, adjusting to the different cellmates, man, that could be stressful. You know, a lot of guys, I had, like when I was in Pontiac, when they double bunk, Pontiac is it's a maximum security prison in Illinois. The majority of the prison now is segregation. When I went there in 2012, I went there. I was kicked out of an institution because I was exercising my legal rights. You know what I mean? And in retaliation for me filing a lawsuit on that institution, they kicked me out of the institution and sent me to a maximum institution, bogus. You know, gave me 6 months segregation. You know, so I was in a one-man segregation at the time, 2012 in Pontiac. It was all one man, but they double bunked it right before I got out of segregation. And because my aggression level was high, and everyone has an aggression level, and it either stays moderate or it accelerates, it, you know, goes up and increases, whatever, based on your activity in prison. You know, and, you know, I was a fighter, man. I was a fighter, so my aggression level was high. I think my aggression level at the time was in its 20s. That's high as hell. You know, that's high as hell. So when they double bunked Pontiac, they didn't give me a cellmate. They moved me down a couple tiers down, a couple floors down, where there was where it was still single man cells. And I actually was grateful, because if I can pick a place, I didn't like cellies, period. You know, because I developed that type of reclusiveness mentality while I was in prison. I just didn't like, after a while, after maybe 10 years in prison, I just didn't like to be in a bunk with, I just didn't like to be in a cell with no one. But, you know, it ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way. But segregation is a place where cellmate on cellmate assaults and murders are rampant, because the stress level is so high. You in segregation, anxiety is so high. You in segregation, intensity is so high. You in segregation. So I was mindful of that, especially when I was in segregation. You know, I didn't want to kill nobody when I was in prison. The objective was to get here. You know what I mean? I didn't want to kill no one, but I wasn't gonna let nobody kill me either. You know what I mean? So yeah, adjusting to the different cellmates, man, it's just so stressful, man. Damn, though, I do not miss that. I swear I don't. It's just so stressful. You know, it's so stressful. You know, you got to deal with this guy pet peeve. You don't know how this guy was raised. Is he clean? You know what I'm saying? You know, is he going to have his friends in the cell while you're not there? Are they going to be tampering with your stuff? You don't know. You know what I mean? But you got to adjust to this stuff. And I did for 18 years. Man, I hear so many cellmates, man. For real. And it's different in different prisons. You know, humans are different in different environments. You know what I mean? So the adjusting to the different cellmates was really something that I dreaded every time I either went into a cell or I was getting a new cellmate. It was just so, I didn't like it, man. I hated it. You know what I mean? I dreaded it. You feel me? But it's inevitable in prison. It's inevitable. You're going to have to adjust. There's some certain things you probably deal with your last cellmate that you can't do with this one. You know what I mean? You got to be on point. You don't know who you're going in a cell with. You know what I'm saying? You got to always stay attentive because someone may be talking about a particular person and you might go on a cell with that person. But if you wasn't listening, you may walk into a cell with someone that is known for, you know, raping people. You probably have gotten into it with a correction officer and they intentionally put you in that cell with that guy. Good luck. Whew. Good luck, man. Seriously. Man, I hated that. Drugs can be a gift and a curse in prison, actually. They can, because the majority of people in these gangs